Have you ever been super nervous for an upcoming interview? Not knowing what to say, how to say it, what to wear, and how to answer questions can ruin an interview. Well, we are here to give you some pointers on how to make an interview successful. When you think about applying for a position or an opportunity such as scholarships, you need to do your research about the company or opportunity holders. Before you go into an interview, it's important to find out as much as you can about the company. Company research is a critical part of interview prep. It will help you prepare to both answer interview questions and to ask the interviewer questions. You will also be able to find out whether the company and the company culture are a good fit for you. Also, it is important to take note on employee turnover of the company as well as the benefits that are offered. Next, you need to make sure that you are qualified. If you are qualified, that means that you meet all the requirements for the position. For example, if you are applying for a job that requires a degree in business management and you are currently in high school, you should not be applying for that job. Make sure you are familiar with all qualifications required for the position. Make a list of skills, knowledge, and professional and personal qualities that are required by the employer and are critical for success in the job. When you have created a list of qualifications for the job, make a list of your assets and match them to the job requirements. Create a list of up to 10 assets, including skills, certifications, experiences, professional qualifications and abilities, computer skills, and knowledge bases, and have it at the ready to share with the interviewer. Be sure your assets match with your skills and abilities required by the company. Review your list and the job requirements prior to the interview so you're prepared to share them during the interview. The next important thing you need to do is know your resume. That way, if the interviewer asks you a question about your resume, you aren't surprised by something that you put on there. It is important to realize what you can and cannot do and if you are eligible. Be ready to elaborate and go into detail about your experience and past employment. Don't show arrogance, but don't leave out significant details that show your experience and qualifications. It's important to elaborate on the experiences that you have had or that you have not had. Either way, you need to let the interviewer know what you are capable of. While preparing for an interview, you want to be sure to fully understand what you are interviewing for. Whether it be a job interview, a promotion interview, a scholarship interview, or any kind of opportunity interview, you must do the research and have the knowledge about what you want to achieve from that interview. Now I'll be passing you off to Kelsey, who will discuss dressing for success.
Thanks for the introduction, Kylie. I'm Kelsey, and I'm going to be giving some tips to dress for success. Would you show up for a job interview wearing wrinkled jeans, shorts, or flip-flops? How you present yourself during an interview is extremely important. Wearing inappropriate attire to a job interview could potentially cost you the job. According to Kim Zoller at Image Dynamics, 55% of another person's perception of you is based on how you look. Put together some tips to dress for a positive impact during your interview. Appropriate interview attire depends on the industry in which you're going to be interviewing, the time of year, and the geographic location of the job you're interviewing for. It's important to spend some time on the internet researching the company, the industry, and its competitors to determine a suitable interview outfit. If you're still not sure at that point, you can always call their HR department and ask what they recommend you wear. When in doubt, from personal experience, I find it's always better to be overdressed than underdressed. If you're still not sure if you have an appropriate outfit, you can always go to a large department store like Nordstrom's or Macy's and ask help from one of their associates. They always seem to have a lot of different options or ideas. Ensure your clothes are clean and pressed. You want to avoid wearing lots of perfume or cologne, and wear makeup and jewelry that are appropriate for the job or the company or the industry you're interviewing for. On my next two slides, I put together some examples of appropriate interview attire for both women and men. Women's professional interview attire could be solid color conservative suit with a coordinated blouse, moderate shoes, very limited jewelry, a neat professional hairstyle, tan or light hosiery, sparse makeup or perfume, manicured, clean nails, and a portfolio or a briefcase. For men's professional interview attire, go with a solid color conservative suit, a white long sleeve shirt, and a conservative tie. You want to steer away from patterns and lots of crazy colors. Very limited jewelry, a neat professional hairstyle. Go easy on the aftershave or cologne, and neatly trimmed nails, and again, a portfolio or a briefcase. There's an old saying that goes, perception is reality. It's definitely important to think about the image that you want to project during your interview, and then choose an outfit that's going to give a positive perception of you and that's appropriate for the time of year, the geographic location, or just the job, the company, and the industry that you're interviewing for. Next, Linda's going to be discussing and answering some tough interview questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelsey, for the introduction. My name is Linda, and I will be discussing some of those wonderful interview questions that we come across that can be difficult. For this section, I did focus just on a handful of questions and maybe some possible answers to those questions as well. First one I have is, what is one of your biggest weaknesses? I don't think I've ever had an interview where this question was not asked of me. There's a couple different routes you can go for this one. You can either take a weakness and turn it into a strength, maybe talking about how you like to work so much that often it turns into overtime if that's something that your employer is interested in. You can also take a weakness and show how you're working on it and trying to make it better, perhaps by taking a class. And you want to use a current event that you're doing that's helping you better fine-tune that weakness. Next question I have is, why are you interested in this company? It's very, very important to research the company that you're going to work for and that you're going to do an interview for, just because they want to know that you cared enough to look them up. It's really nice when you can incorporate maybe the company values or the mission statement in your interview to show that you did indeed do the research and know about the company. Next question I have is, what did you dislike about your previous job? This one can be tricky because it almost sounds like you're complaining if you say something about your job that you didn't like. A good one to do in this situation is to say that you really liked your job, however, potential for growth and room to grow within the company is no longer there, and you're looking to learn elsewhere with a different company. Now this one, tell me a little bit about yourself. This one can be kind of tricky. You want to tell them about yourself, but you don't want to tell too much about yourself. Keep it simple, keep it basic, 3 to 4 sentences maybe at the most. Highlight your strengths, and just don't get personal with this question. I think that a lot of times people have a tendency of getting too personal and giving too much information. So that sums up all the questions that I have. Now, as to kind of conclude here, don't be afraid to let your personality come out in the interview a little bit. You want them to know you, and you want to kind of be able to know them. And the only way you can do that is by being yourself. Up next, we have Rebecca, and she will be discussing wrapping up an interview.
Thank you, Linda, for the introduction. I'm Rebecca, and I'm going to be talking about your closing pitch. How do you wrap up your interview and make them want you? After all your efforts to make a good impression on your interviewer and paint yourself as the perfect match for the job, make sure you end your interview with class. Remember to keep your professionalism, but it's also okay to be honest about your hopes about the position for which you just interviewed. Quickly sum up your understanding of the job description to show that you are prepared and knowledgeable about what the work entails. If you're missing anything here, the interviewer can clarify and you can show that you're thorough. Then give a brief recap on your strengths and skills that fit well with the position. Tell the interviewer that you are definitely interested in the job and you think you'll be a great fit with the company. A great question to ask the hiring manager is if he or she has any reservations about your fit for the position. This way, if there are any reservations, you can address them now. Ask what the next steps are in the process. When should you expect to receive a phone call or an email? Make sure you get a business card so you will be able to follow up with the interviewer. Remember to be gracious and thankful for the interview. Shake the hiring manager's hand with confidence. Make sure to be courteous to everyone on your way out of the building. Next, Jessica will give some post-interview tips to keep your name fresh in the interviewer's mind.
Thank you, Rebecca, for the introduction. As she said, my name is Jessica, and I'm going to be going over some post-interview tips. You might be wondering how there's anything left to do after the closing pitch of your interview, but there are some tips and etiquette that will help you stand out against other candidates. It's important to start and end with a thank you in your interview, but once you're done, you need to analyze how that interview went. You want to give yourself about a 48-hour time frame to really look at things you did well and things that you could have done better. And after you do that, you want to thank those that interviewed you with either a handwritten card or an email. Remember that taking the time to do this is going to make you stand out against other candidates. Most people don't analyze their interviews, and very, very few people actually reach out to their interviewers. A handwritten card is going to be able to show your personality and show the time and effort that it took. However, with email nowadays being such a common form of communication, you'll really want to gauge it off of how you were contacted and communicated with the interviewers. It's also important to have a way to get their contact information. Don't be afraid to ask for a business card on the way out of your interview. So besides saying thank you for the interview, what else are you going to write? There's really two things that you want to focus on. You want to reinforce what makes you stand out. Keep it brief, but make it count. You want to go over the skills you possess, accomplishments you've had, and experience that makes you the one they need to pick in about 2, maybe 3 sentences. Remember, it's a card, not a letter. Additionally, there's a good chance that through your analyzation, you realized that you forgot something. Do you need to go back and clarify something that you maybe didn't spend a lot of time with in your interview? Did you forget to share or say a key point that you really wanted to make in order to stand out? Anything that comes to your mind as you analyzed your interview is fair game for this part. Again, 1 to 2 sentences, just make sure that you highlight it in an effective way. Wrapping up your card. You may want to make sure that you're confident. You don't want to spend all the time making this effort and not come across as the strong candidate that they want to pick. Remember to be tactful and don't be afraid to remind the interviewer of an agreement that came up in the interview. Something along the lines of, thank you for your interest. I look forward to hearing from you on this date to learn the date of my next interview. Or it could be to learn what decision they made. Don't waste this opportunity. Ending it strong and confident is going to make a lasting impression on your interviewer. Again, just remember that this last step in the interviewing process is something that will help you succeed professionally in many, many ways. Leaving interviewers with this positive image is something that most people don't make the time to do, let alone even contemplate. On behalf of our group, we want to thank you for watching our best practices, how to interview for a position with a company, and we all wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. Thank you.